Welcome, everyone. Joe with ECRM and RangeMe here. And today we're going to talk about how to leverage the power of user-generated content for brands to help move products from the store shelves into consumers' baskets. And to do that, we have with us today Sarah Nesheim, who's the founder of Crafted, which leverages this type of technology and services to help brands. So we're going to talk about how they do it and what brands can do to get involved. So thank you so much for joining us. And to start off, why is user-generated content so important for brands, and how
Mhm.
does it differ from other types of influencer content?
Thank you so much, Joe. I'm super excited to be here and share a little bit more about why UGC and what we call drive to retail content is so important. So UGC, or user generated content, is kind of a blanket term for short form video created by a user or a creator or an influencer. It doesn't technically have to mean user like a customer generated video, although it can be. Why this matters is because any style of short form video that is a little bit more unpolished, we were talking about how your audience prefers a little bit undone, kind of raw and authentic content just goes over so much better than like highly produced video content these days. So, you're scrolling through your feed and you see an ad for a real person that resembles you talking about a product and getting you so excited about it. That person doesn't need to be a celebrity. They don't need to be Mr. Beast. They just need to be a real person that is authentically talking about the product. And this type of content significantly outperforms highly produced content. Even 4 years later, since UGC kind of came onto the scene, with the founding of TikTok, it's still really a pivotal or an important content pillar for brands. So it's really about social proof and letting users and creators tell the narrative and explain the value of a product, versus having the brand kind of, promote their product and market their product from the brand point of view. So that's like the key differentiator between UGC and branded content.
And I think a great example of that, even though it was unintentional, was that dude with the ocean spray. When he was on his skateboard or scooter or
Yeah.
whatever, and he was just drinking the ocean spray cranberry juice while listening to that Fleetwood Mac song. And even though it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't intentional, it just ended
Yeah.
up in Ocean Spray selling out. The song went to #1 on the charts, and it was just completely user generated, but it was so pure. It was just the
Yes.
guy had no intentions of promoting it, but that's what happened in a huge way.
100%. It's kind of like when you need a recommendation for someone for something, you ask your friends, right? And you can achieve that same kind of social proof and trust at scale online through UGC.
Cool. So how do brands work with Crafted to develop this content?
Yeah. So first, maybe I'll just explain, let's say you're a brand and you know the power of UGC, and I'll explain kind of existing methods for getting UGC, and
Sure.
then I'll explain kind of how Crafted works. So, an emerging brand, they're launching at Target, for example, and they know that they need UGC to promote their brand and then promote the fact that they're on Target shelves. And so, if they were to do it the scrappiest way possible, they would go on TikTok, go on Instagram, and search for creators and reach out to folks that they think are fit, and email them or DM them saying, "Hey, we would love to work with you to promote our new product." And as you can imagine, that becomes a full-time job, just searching for creators, getting their contact information, reaching out to them. And you would ideally be sending hundreds or thousands of messages to get the amount of content that you need. We can talk about kind of volume and scale, but I am a big believer that more is more. So let's say you reach out to 100 folks and 20 of them get back to you, you're now in negotiation mode. Hey, what's your rate? Okay, I can meet you here. And then you need to send them the brief. You're answering questions. Um, you're asking them where they live so that they can figure out if they're in proximity to the Target that carries your product, or if they can't go to the store, they're willing to create you're willing to ship it to them, but there's still like so much logistical like nuance that is involved here. So that's like the ultra scrappy way. A step up from that is paying for some kind of influencer database where you can more easily search and filter creators and then like send mass emails out. And that's great too. And there are some awesome tools for that, but you're still having to negotiate with them. And then on the complete other end of the spectrum, you could hire an influencer agency to do all of this work for you, but those costs are pretty prohibitive for a lot of emerging brands. Um, and they're still doing all of that manual work, as well. But at least it's completely off your plate. So what Crafted does is we've already onboarded and vetted creators to our platform, and these folks are excited about the brands that we bring onto our platform. Their rates are actually already set for them based on their historic and projected viewership. So it's all standardized, it's all performance based, and they are throwing their hat in the ring in earnest to work with you. So they log on, they're looking at the various campaigns we have, and they're handpicking the ones that they're excited about and saying, "Hey, I'm super excited about this opportunity. This is my video idea." And so on the other end, the brand, all they have to do is approve creators or deny creators. So that's a little bit about kind of sourcing and rate negotiation, how that's completely automated through Crafted, but you're still getting real creators that are super excited. Um, and then from there, you approve the creators. You'll give them a budget to go buy the product in store through our platform. You don't have to deal with any like receipts or payment or anything. We handle all of that. Then they make the video, they upload their video draft, and then you leave revisions or approve it. And then from there, the last step is all of the metrics are available in real time as well. And I can double click into that because that's kind of the most important thing about working with influencers. What did you get in return? But as far as the back and forth and logistics, that's kind of how we approach that.
It seems like it takes a lot of the legwork off their plates. Like you said, they could do it
Yeah.
on their own if they want to, but
Yeah.
the volume of time it's going to take, and that's one thing
Mhm.
that, if you're a brand owner and it's an emerging brand, time
Yeah.
is something you don't really have. So, um, unless they're just using their friends in their neighborhood but as they scale
Yeah.
up, they're going to need more boots on the ground.
Absolutely. And so this is a tool that lets you, avoid agency costs. So we're helping you keep the work stream in-house because you
Mhm.
still have control over the content and the creators, but you're not wasting hours and hours and hours a week searching for creators.
I like the fact that you have that back and forth as well. So the creator will be like, "Hey," and the fact that the creators they can pick it, and more than likely they're going to pick something that is personally interesting to them, something that they're going to use. But then the back and forth, once they send the idea and
Yeah.
approve it. So there's a lot of control there, or at least not control, but input from the brand with the creator.
Yeah, yeah. The way I like to think about it is we have put in guardrails so that it's not crazy, crazy
Hmm.
communication all over the place, a long, winding, um, text conversation between a brand and a creator. But, there is an opportunity for the creator to freely express why they're interested. Then the brand, if they like the idea, they'll approve it. And then the second piece of that feedback loop is when brands are writing feedback on the video draft. So, pretty often, um, the creator will submit their video idea and then the brand wants to tweak it a little bit and they can do that freely as well. So those are the two main points of kind of open creative communication between the brand and the creator without this kind of willy-nilly communication that can be time consuming for both parties.
Yeah, and then also it serves the purpose of one, keeping it on brand, the resulting
Yeah.
content, but still letting it feel, having that authenticity of user generated
Yeah.
content. So that's a very powerful combination. So let's say all of this happens, right? So you went through posting the briefs, selecting the creators, reviewing the drafts, get the content. It's all done.
Yeah.
They posted it. How can brands use that content, or how do brands use that content once
Mhm.
it's been created?
Yeah. So what Crafted does, or how Crafted is different from a lot of the other platforms out there, is that any content generated via Crafted, our brands have usage rights for in perpetuity. So let's say a brand approves a video, it's good to go. The creator will post it on Instagram and TikTok. We're tracking the likes, the comments, the shares, the views, of course, in real time. And if there is a link that they are driving their viewers to, we'll track the click through as well. And that's super important because that is a purchase intent metric, right? So especially if a creator is saying, "Hey, click the link in my bio for buy one get one at Sprouts," and it's like a digital coupon or something, that we're tracking that click through. So
Mhm.
so that's what happens when the creator posts. But then the brand can also download the content directly from the platform, and they can whitelist it, which means that they're running ads on the creator's handle instead of the brand's handle. They can run ads really on any platform. Um, what we see is brands will repurpose this content for organic social. So they'll post it to their brand like Instagram account. They'll run paid social, of course, on Meta and TikTok, some Google, and then they'll leverage it for retail media as well. So Instacart is one that is very much video forward. I think Target is rolling out videos as well. So we'll see a lot more use cases, or Roundel rather, as far as Target's retail media network. Walmart Connect, and then Amazon is a big one that supports video UGC on their product pages and on their ads as well. So those are the various ways. But of course, you can embed UGC on your website,
Mhm.
in your emails. So the sky's the limit as far as how you can repurpose the content, and that's why this content, like you said, striking the balance of authenticity with making sure that the message is right, is so valuable, because you can really get as much juice out of the squeeze as possible when thinking about all the platforms that you can amplify this content on.
Gotcha. Now, which leads to my next question, right? You mentioned a couple of retailers and what they do with content. You know, what other ways do retailers play a role, and
Mhm.
how do they get involved?
Yeah, great question. So I'll just start by explaining, like, where does this whole type of activation fit into the landscape, right? So obviously when a new brand launches at a new retailer, they are forced to spend a certain amount of money in store on trade. There's of course slotting fees and discounts and in-store demos, a lot of things that happen in the store that may or not be mandated by the retailer. But I think a blind spot that a lot of brands have, and this is why we're having this conversation, Joe, is because um, uh, is just the lack of social media and the lack of retail focused, um, you know, content driving creators into, or driving consumers into the store. And so, as you've seen, a lot of our videos have this, direct Target or Walmart or Kroger call out. So that's important because there's over 5 billion people on social. I think like 70% of consumers discover new products online. So it's kind of a no-brainer that you need to be on social. Um, and retailers know that. So retailers, the role that they play is that, you know, in addition to the trade, promo spend and all the other marketing activities, they can partner with the brands on, they are strongly suggesting that their brands run influencer programs. And so a lot of our brands are saying, hey, my Whole Foods buyer is wondering like when we can run a campaign for them. Can you help us? So we don't work directly with the retailers at this time, but retailers have been very delighted when our brands come back to them saying that they've invested in campaigns like this. So you know, I'm sure you can imagine the reasons why,
Mhm.
they want to see that the brands know what they're doing and that they are forward thinking about social media, UGC, video content, all of that. Um, and, it's a little bit of a relationship building exercise as well between the brand and the buyer.
Yeah, and a lot of buyers are in their meetings, right, at
Yes.
ECRM sessions when they're having in-person meetings with the brands, they're always
Yeah.
asking, what are you doing to support sales of your product in the store? And,
Mhm.
how are you leveraging social media? So this is a great tool, especially if they don't particularly have a huge social media following themselves. It's a way of
Mhm.
kind of expanding their reach and then especially being very targeted because there's nothing more powerful than
Yeah.
like if you're in store XYZ to have influencers or people from the neighborhoods of XYZ
Yeah.
posting about the products that are in their local store that's down the block. So that makes a big difference.
Totally.
And so the retailer is going to benefit, just they're not involved directly, but they're benefiting indirectly because they want to move products off the shelves. Um, so now,
Mhm.
are there any particular types of products or categories that this works best for?
Mm. Yes. So at Crafted, we are very focused on products that, um, sell primarily through brick and mortar retail. That is our focus, and so that is definitely a type of product that bodes well for this type of content. So food and beverage, of
Mhm.
course, is up there. Um, so, a lot of our clients are like heat and eat type products, frozen meals, that type of thing, ready to drink beverages, snacks, things of that nature. So, CPG, right? And then there are other categories of consumer products as well, like beauty is one that we are definitely expanding into pretty aggressively because they are just as much a fit. I mean, think about, when you run to Target, you're grabbing, your food, but you're also maybe picking up like sunscreen or like toothpaste or something. So beauty, home goods, personal
Mhm.
care, anything that you would scoop up and put on your shopping list when you run into the store.
What about food service? Do you work with restaurant brands or anything like that?
Yeah, great question. So we have worked with some restaurant or like fast casual brands before. The infrastructure for having hyperlocal creators going to physical locations to promote a product or service there is pretty much exactly the same. So we have done some work with fast casual restaurants in that regard, and then honestly, food service is, as far as like B2B, has been an interesting category for us as well. We did one of our first campaigns for a B2B approach, and it was, a salmon product, and they're trying to reach restaurant owners
Mm,
and like dietitians, um, what else? Caterers, right?
mhm.
So there is an interesting opportunity there as well. But you're absolutely right. So restaurants is very much something that we will be doubling down on next year.
Cool. What about the size of the brand? Can small emerging regional brands benefit as well as national brands?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the beauty of working with Crafted is that you can geo-fence a campaign. So,
Mhm,
when you're setting up a campaign, you can select the regions to kind of make sure that only creators who live in those regions can participate. You can also check their audience demographics to make sure that most of their audience also lives in that region.
mhm,
So, we absolutely can support emerging brands. Really good example of that is we were helping kind of a kids electrolyte brand launch in Sprouts, and Sprouts is not necessarily nationwide and or
mhm.
not in every single state, and so we help them drive traffic among kids and parents. And every video had the Sprouts component. So we've also done Albertsons, Pacific Northwest, Wegmans is here on the East Coast, so we absolutely can support emerging brands as well as mid-size and enterprise brands that may have like a nationwide Walmart presence, for example. We've done plenty of nationwide Walmart campaigns as well. So we do have that
Gotcha.
flexibility.
So you could scale together as the brand grows and its distribution. They
Mhm.
just expand the geofence of where they can work.
Exactly.
All right, last question. How do brands get started with Crafted?
Yeah, so getting started is very simple. What you need before you can launch a campaign on Crafted is you need to know what stores you're in. So whether that is a spreadsheet or an updated store locator, we do need that information and confirmation that you are actually in those stores. Um, I know, that sounds basic, but it is something, it is a requirement.
It's built
Otherwise,
on that. It's all built around that. Yeah.
yeah, otherwise you'll maybe sending creators into stores and there's no stock there, which has happened before. So that's like a logistical thing. We need a link to a product page. So like if it's the target campaign, ideally the target PDP, but if that's unavailable, a link to the product on your website or even a photo of the package is totally
Mhm.
fine too, just so creators know what to look out for. And then we need the creative brief. So this can be a barrier for a lot of brands because it's arguably the most important part of setting this up because a good brief will yield a good video in most cases. So the brief needs to include your target audience. It needs to include do's and don'ts, brand positioning, some example videos so that creators know what kind of style and vibe to go for to align with your brand. So those are the basic things to get started. We'll then onboard you to our platform. We'll even set up the campaign for you. And then from there, you're able to select creators, review video drafts, and access all of the metrics on our platform.
Excellent. And your website is?
Use crafted.com, USECRAFTED.com.
Excellent. So everybody check it out and you can get into the UGC game yourselves too. So thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Joe. Have a great one. Talk soon.